How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to round 2 of Locals feature matches from last Tuesday, I believe, was when these were recorded. I've also got another batch of feature matches from this past Saturday as well from when I'm recording this. So I've got quite a few feature matches, and on top of that, I've got some testing matches as well. Some deck profiles, maybe an undefeated Dark Magician deck profile, but that's all I'll really hint at for now. So as you can see here, we have Infernobles on the left versus Megalith on the right. Megalith is a deck that actually interests me quite a bit. I've seen a few profiles of it, and I gotta say I'm more and more enticed every time I see those combos pulled off, and I've always been a sucker for ritual decks, so definitely might be trying to pick that up at some point in the future. So we're going to see here a Sold being activated to send one for Fire Flint Lady, and that's going to allow him to be able to get the Genba out of his hand. So one cool thing you can do there, if you do happen to open Genba with a way to get to his Sold, it's really not the end of the world, because you can just send one for Fire Flint Lady and use Fire Flint Lady's other effect to tribute it to summon out that level 4 lower warrior from your hand, i.e. in this case 6 Samurai Genba. Which I may personally be switching to that of TG Striker in the main deck, just because I feel as though the ability that TG Striker has to be able to summon itself to the field while you control no monsters is just infinitely better than Genba, where Genba literally does absolutely nothing on its own. TG Striker at least has a little bit more value. I know it's not a Fire Warrior monster. It is still a warrior nonetheless. And the Fire Warrior aspect of Genba hardly ever comes up, at least in all the testing that I've done. And you can see here my friends build slightly different, playing the level 6 Warrior to search off of a Soul to be able to synchro with Tatsunoko for Charles instead of Borreload Savage. So just a little bit of a different way to play it. He does want to switch to red layers. He just needs to get his hands on the cards, much like I do. I actually just ordered my playset of red layers just before I started recording this video, because that is a card I do want to try at 3 in my main deck for Infernoble Knight. And if you guys have been following along the series, one deck, 1 month, you'll see you know, sort of the evolution of my Infernoble Knight deck, all the testing and theory that's gone into it, and the improvements that have been made. So I highly recommend you guys check that out. So you know, obviously Auroradon resolving, you know, popping 2, including itself to get that token, and getting, of course, a token back here from that of Olion. Savage Dragon now hits the board, equipping the Auroradon for 3 counters, and we'll see Jet Synchron being activated now to dump a Heritage of the Chalice, and then we'll synchro off that level 3 and that level 1 for, of course, none other than Herald of the Arclight, keeping those zones clear for Relinquished Anima as well. We'll play a copy of Heritage of the Chalice, having another copy here to work with. I can only imagine how busted it would be if Immortal Phoenix Gearfried was in some way searchable via Durendal or Heritage of the Chalice. That would be absolutely bonkers. But either way, he's going to go ahead and grab the Durendal. I almost want to say Artifact Durendal, because that's where I'm like familiar with hearing that name, Durendal, the rank 5 Xyz monster. But we're gonna see Durendal be played onto the Charles, and that'll add Renault, and Renault will be played now to go ahead and grab an equip from the grave. So going to opt to trigger the Smoke Grenade in a bit of a different way. And just equipping it outright right now to Charles in order to trigger Charles immediately instead of doing it here in the end phase. So this is one way you could go about doing it. So he'll knock out the Megalith Unformed Quick Play spell from his hand. And then end phase, activating Charles to equip with a equip spell from hand or grave, to equip it with a Fire Warrior from deck. That is going to equip it with none other than Oliver to give it immunity from targeting, which is pretty solid if you ask me. And then also resolving Roland here in the end phase to send and equip to add a warrior monster. That is going to be the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. I believe attempting to use Charles again, and it is a once per turn. He is still learning the deck much like I am, so cut him some slack, if you will. So yeah, adding the Gearfried for the follow-up here, and our Megalith player just double-checking so he doesn't lose another card to an illegal play. But everything's all good to get it all sorted out, squared away. And our Megalith player is up now to have to deal with 2 Omni Negates and a Disruption via Roland in the Grave through Charles for that bit of spot removal. And, of course, the ever-looming threat of Immortal Phoenix Gearfried in the hand for next turn. Looks like he's going to go ahead and start with the Chalice Slime. The Chalice Slime it will look like. And discarding the Megalith Trap card, which I am unsure of its name at the moment. And he'll be able to play completely through the Herald of Arclight, because Herald of Arclight says any monster sent from the hand or main deck is banished instead. So he did not discard a monster, he discarded a trap, so it does not get banished here. And it looks like on that summon a Talismander, it will attempt to activate, and Borreload Savage Dragon will say otherwise. And now having a few last cards to work with, still a few interruptions to play through. But he's not done yet. Going to go ahead and activate that Incantation Inception. And Herald of the Arclight says no. So 2 interruptions down. And 1 to go via Roland and Charles. And it looks like we're going to see Incantation Inception. Engrave attempt to activate. And I believe that will send off an Incantation on the field. Or discard one, rather. To add it back to your hand to summon a different Incantation from your deck. So he'll be able to go ahead and grab Candle, which will be able to search a ritual spell. Now, this is a little bit of an interesting way to play the Incantation engine than I'm used to. I've played the Incantation engine for a long time in Necroz, and I played it, you know, like 2 Talismander, 2 Candle, 2 Pencil Plume, etc., etc. But the way this version operates is pretty enticing because it's a much smaller package. It puts more emphasis on just getting out Talismandra and then just getting out Candle, resolving those effects, and then you're completely clear of, you know, incantations in the main deck for the rest of the turn. Or for the rest of the game, I should say. So it seems like a little bit more of an efficient and more tightly knit incantation package, which I do like. But we're going to see Roland here activate on the activation of Inception to Ritual Summon. And he's going to chain Roland. And, of course, Charles would activate on a new chain. But either way, he still has Ritual Fodder to be able to get Megalith full on board. Which will be able to... well, actually, it looks like he's not even going to destroy a card on the field. He's just going to... well, destroy a card on his opponent's field, rather. He's going to just destroy the Smoke Grenade to knock an Ophiel out of his hand, I believe. Which could be pretty hurtful here. But still able to get access to one, I believe, via Full's effect. And then Ritual Summoning on field with Full, or with Ophiel, I believe. And that will grab Haggith, and Haggith will search another copy of Unformed, which is pretty good because that'll set up some nice plays during his opponent's turn. Summoning another Full and adding back another Ritual from Grave, adding that Haggith back. And one of the biggest, you know, nice interactions that Megalith have is the ability to Ritual Summon during the opponent's turn via a card like Full or Unformed. Be able to summon, I believe, either Anatron is the name or Bethor. One of those two has the ability to, one, it's summon destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field equal to the number of ritual monsters in your graveyard at the time of its summoning. So it can be pretty devastating, sort of like a pseudo board wipe that you can spring upon your opponent via Ritual Summon, which is very, very cool. So, and it looks like there's a Dark Lure No More being played, so won't be doing any Ritual Summoning here. It's unfortunate. Now, usually Megalith is a deck that can somewhat play around Dark Ruler No More. Yes, it does turn off Megalith full, but of course it doesn't stop that of Megalith Unformed, of course, because it is a spell card, quick play spell card at that. And yeah, it looks like our Megalith player has seen enough at this point as the Gearfried hits the board, and we're going to head into game 2. And of course, as we do, I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsor, Imperium Duelist. If you guys are interested in picking up any playmats, sleeves, deck boxes, or dice, very, very high quality TCG accessories. We've been sort of partnered with this channel for a long time now. And if you guys want to help support the channel, consider heading over to their site, checking out their products. And if you do end up buying anything, feel free to use my discount code WinnerKills10 at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. And of course, you know, you get some great products and, you know, in return for supporting the channel. So I highly recommend you guys do that if you want to support the channel and get some things out of it in the process. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, do not forget to use my affiliate link to them down in the description below. It should be that first link. If you guys click that link, shop using that link, check out using that link, I will receive a small portion of the revenue from your purchase, and it does go right back to the channel, which is of course extremely helpful for a content creator like me. So either way, getting back into the game, we have a Candle resolving, we have you know, a Talismander resolving. I believe it added Ophiel, and we'll see Inception here. Get Ophiel on the board, and when that is summoned, we'll be able to search a copy of Haggith. And this is, again, another reason why I do really like that small incantation engine in a deck like this, because Inception is so nice in the fact that it allows you to use monsters whose levels equal or exceed the monster that you're trying to summon. And a lot of the good Megalith ritual monsters have very low levels, like level 4, level 2, as you know, Megalith Full is. So very advantageous for the strategy. And we'll see Unformed being played to go ahead and ritual summon for a copy of Full, and Full on summon is going to add one back. That's going to be a copy of Ophiel. And Megalith, I do believe, is also capable of pulling off an FTK with the Magician of Black Chaos Max, which I've seen pulled off quite a few times in some other videos and sort of combo guides, profiles, etc., etc. It is very cool, and again, I do want to pick this deck up. I mean, I do have pretty much all the Megalith cards, and I do want to play it at some point. You guys will see, maybe in one deck, 1 month at some point in the future. We'll get this deck going as well. Hopefully before Block Dragon gets banned or any of the Adamantipator cards get hurt, because you can play those cards in this deck to great effect, because lo and behold, all your ritual monsters are rock monsters, as you'll see Gallant Granite hitting the board. And attempting to use that to go grab another extender, either a Megalith card or something like Adamantipator Researcher or Seeker. But unfortunately, that will be met with Gamma, one of the better hand traps this format, at least one of the most popular hand traps this format. If you had to ask me, I think Impermanence is probably the best hand trap this format, simply because it cannot be called by it, and it can also play around that of Triple Tactics Talent. But Gamma a close second because of the removal it offers, and of course it is not susceptible to Call by the Grave. But pretty impactful Gamma there. We'll see what else he's able to do this turn. There's a copy of Prep Rites. Any ritual player loves to see Preparation of Rites being activated. Obviously not a hard once per turn, so Prep Rites will be able to add him any level 7 or lower ritual monster from his deck to his hand, and then also has the optional effect to, on top of that, add back a ritual spell from the graveyard. Of course, it is not once per turn, so be able to go ahead and grab back something like the Incantation Inception, which I believe is the only ritual spell that most Megalith decks play, since most of the Megaliths act as ritual spells themselves, which is very unique in that sense. So he'll go ahead and grab a copy of Chalice Slime from the deck, and from the grave he'll add back that copy of Incantation Inception. Now, I've seen this Megalith deck put up pretty big boards, from things to like Abyss Dweller, Borreload Savage Dragon, and of course the Magician of Black Chaos Max FTK, but it looks like not too many other extenders are to be had in hand, and Gallant Granite looking like it needed to go through, and there it did not, so he'll be forced to set to back row and to his disliking pass. So our Infernoble player gets started with the Sublimation Knight for Squeak Knight. Squeak Knight summoning itself to the field, and just like that, 2 warriors on the field. Would you believe it? And you know what that means. Time to do some bonkers shenanigans. So it looks like going to start things off by sending 4 equip spells: Living Fossil, Autonomous Action Unit, Divine Sword, Phoenix Blade, and a copy of Smoke Grenade of the Thief. And that's going to summon the Infernoble Knight Oliver from the deck. Oliver, a fantastic card, especially to summon out off of a soul immediately like that, because it is also a tuner, which is one of the biggest pluses about it, obviously, with Halqifibrax being as prominent as it is. Of course, the Full, as we know, can ritual summon during either player's turn, and not only can it ritual summon from either player's turn, but it can summon from deck. So yeah, we're gonna see that activate now, and this is that mid-turn board wipe I was talking about. I believe that is Bethor, not Anatron, because I know there's 2 higher level Megaliths, but this one going to be able to completely wipe the field at this point, which is pretty devastating. It's one of Infernoble's weaknesses, I would say. If you can give them a good board wipe at the proper time in their combo, they'll be pretty hard pressed to continue, because some of their best extenders require bodies already on field, such as, you know, Renault and Fire Flint Lady and things like that. But luckily, he does have a Heritage of the Chalice to follow up, and it does look like he has Fire Flint Lady in hand, and also looks to have not used, obviously not, hasn't used really, Oliver's in-hand effect, which Oliver is one of the better extenders in the entire strategy, because it is one of the better follow-up cards to follow up something like Nibiru, because you can just put it on the board as a tuner and then link off with a token, and that Oliver for Halqifibrax and continue going. That's why I think it is almost best to, if you're going to try to board wipe, if you're going to Nibiru or board wipe in this fashion, it is best to wait till after the Halqifibrax resolves, because if you don't, that gives them sort of a play line, you know, to make afterwards. Looking forward, that's just something, a goal they can get into, is going for Halqifibrax, since they haven't exhausted it yet. And it looks like he'll try to equip the copy of Durendal to that Bethor, and he's going to say, no, I'm going to ritual summon it away so you cannot search off of it. And he'll summon out a copy of Ophiel, and that one will search, I believe, Anatron. And it looks like Infernoble going to give up right there. There's no way to get Fire Flint Lady on board. Was probably hoping to get Oliver off that Durendal, but he had the quick play interruption to get rid of it. And we're off to Game 3, the all-important Game 3 situation. And you might have guessed the Infernoble deck going to want to go first here, since they have the option to do so. So we'll see a copy of Sublimation Knight, and lo and behold, just like that, 2 warrior monsters are on the field. So you know what that means. That equals 4 interruptions. 2 warrior monsters. But hopefully have opened some hand traps here for the sake of our Megalith player. And we'll see the Isolde. See if he'll activate the effect on summon to be able to add a warrior blank. And in hand, it looks like he has opened another copy of Sublimation Knight, Triple Tactics Talent, copy of Durendal, and I believe his level 6 blank that he usually searches off of Isolde. Can't remember what its actual name is right now, but there's a few level 6 warriors that people have been opting to play as sort of either budget replacements or just for different play lines for Tatsunoko. Forgive me for not knowing all of their names, but there's a fatty impermanence on that Isolde, which is pretty relevant, but he does have the Durendal to continue. You'll need to grab something like Oliver to be able to continue the play as normal. Because really, he was going to go for Oliver there, but if you can just search out an Oliver to, you know, keep going, you know, he'll be pretty much in the same exact position he would have been otherwise. But it looks like he's going to go for a Stolfo here. which is a very, very good extender. Can summon itself to the field by banishing a fire warrior monster from the graveyard. And then it has the opportunity, the option, to copy the level of the monster it banished. It also has a unique graveyard effect where it can banish itself. And then after the second standby phase is passed after its activation, it can summon any fire warrior monster that is either banished or in the graveyard. So that effect can sort of act as like a ticking time bomb in order to spring on the opponent if the game does linger on, which in some cases the game usually doesn't, but has the opportunity to do so. Stolfo can be very, very clutch. So we'll see Renault hit the board. He's going to add back Living Fossil. Thankfully, a soul does dump for cost, and we'll see Link Cross still hit the field here, and this is one of the reasons why I think it is still always better to hold. If you've got one hand trap, and these are the words of my friend Adam, if you got one hand trap, at least against a deck like Infernoble, try to hold it, especially if it's something like Impermanence. Try to hold it if you can for the Halqifibrax, because I feel as though it is just much more impactful, because even if you stop a sold second effect, all it takes is for them to have something like Rhoda, Durendal, or Heritage of the Chalice in their hand in order for them to keep going as if nothing ever happened. Because they would just get Oliver on the field, link off for Link Cross, etc., etc. Same old song and dance, go for Halqifibrax, and, you know, continue comboing. So, 2 tokens hitting the field. Renault, at this point, is a level 1 tuner. It is being treated as a tuner because it was summoned from the hand via its own effect. So, his build, interestingly enough, playing a copy of Formula Synchron, which, looking forward, I kind of want to experiment with it. Because it's interesting, because it allows you to somewhat do a full combo if you are not able to get something like Oliver on the field before you go into Link Cross. So essentially here is what you would do is, you know, go into Formula, then you could synchro with the Formula and the other level 1 token for Marcher. Marcher can bring back Formula, and then if you have an extender like Flint Lady or a Stolfo, which is very likely because we play obviously 3 Flint, 1 Astolfo, and then a bunch of ways to search said cards, you know, you can go into Tatsu. Or another alternate route here could be going into Halqifibrax. And I guess also be able to summon like Jet Synchron and then synchro with the other level 1 token, or O-Lion rather. But looks like he does have another interruption here in that of Gamma. Gamma also being very impactful here. So he's been able to stop him at both critical points. First at Assault, second at Halqifibrax, and will respond with a triple tactics talent. And he'll be able to take a look at the hand, seeing a copy of Ophiel, copy of Full, and a copy of Raw Sphere Mode. Raw Sphere Mode can be pretty threatening, pretty daunting, but if he knows it's there, he can play around it and just leave 2 monsters on the field to render that card near useless. So it looks like he'll put Full back into the deck, leaving him with just Ophiel and just a copy of Raw Sphere Mode. So he will follow up with Heritage of the Chalice for a copy of Oliver, which, as we know, is a fantastic extender for Infernoble Knights. And he will summon it by discarding that Sublimation Knight. Now, I do want to alert of an illegal play, accepted game state warning, wee woo. Just absolute misplay right here. So what I think our Infernoble player was not aware of is that when Oliver summoned itself to the field via its own effect, it is treated as level 1. So he would not be able to synchro into Roland as he has done just now. So I wanted to point that out. But neither player caught this. It is not solely on the Infernoble Knight player. It is also on our Megalith player for not catching this. So it is what it is. It is accepted game state at this point. And he has netted himself a Borreload Savage by incorrect means. But it is what it is. So it looks like he will sort of proceed to the end phase here. It looks like maybe getting close. And it looks like also activating Roland. I believe another sort of, in quotes, hot cheat or misplay happens here. He is resolving Roland now. Roland does state that you have to send an equip spell from the deck to the grave to add a warrior monster in the end phase. He dumps Ogier here. I still believe he had a Durendal in the deck left over to send, so it's not like he couldn't have pulled it off anyways. Yeah, and if you blinked, you might have missed our Megalith player's turn. Not much he can do regardless. So I doubt the fact that the Savage Dragon was there made a big difference if his hand was literally unplayable to do anything on the following turn. And he'll pass it right back to our Infernoble player. And going to resolve another Heritage of the Chalice. Go ahead and summon the Gearfried here. Nothing incorrect about that summon. Perfectly legal. And then going to summon Renault, of course. Add back another equip. Autonomous action unit has been banished, so still has Divine Sword, still has access to Living Fossil, I believe, and Durendal as well. So it looks like he's going to go for Living Fossil here. Still has a level 1 token from the Link Cross of the previous turn. We'll go ahead and play Living Fossil now for that of Oliver, which is a level 4 tuner currently, so is able to synchro into a level 5 if he wanted to, but going straight for a Soul Day. The second copy of, remembering to banish Oliver off of that Living Fossil. Once the card it summons leaves the field, it is banished. And going to add a level 6 off of a Sold, level 6 Fire Warrior. I'm sure if you search that up in any card database, you'll be able to find that one, especially since we are viewing this in a beautiful, buttery 4K. And it looks like he'll be sending one equip spell here to... Or no, it looks like he'll be using Divine Sword, not using a Soul's other effect. Divine Sword to banish a Stolfo and Sublimation Knight. Probably wanted to use Stolfo's other effect, if at all possible, or not banish for Divine Sword, but I don't think it matters, since he does have Savage Dragon. He does have Gearfried, which he can boost to 3,300 with Divine Sword, and 18 from a, or 16 from a Soul, rather. And he is gaining, I believe, I think Hellfirex has 1,500 attack, so gaining 750. So it's at 3,750 plus 16 plus 3K, which I think is just over game. And if not, he does have the additional 300 boost. So that will do it for round 2 feature match. Our Megalith player was top decking a Dark Ruler No More, which would have been very, very helpful there. And we saw his opening hand there, or his ending hand, I should say. And he did have Candle. So Candle, I think, requires you to reveal a ritual spell to be able to summon. Or maybe a ritual monster. I'm not exactly sure. But the illegal Borreload Savage may have made some changes, but it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you pay attention and make sure you try to keep track of the game state as best as possible to avoid things like this. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and let me know what feature matches you guys are excited for in the future. We got like Speedroid versus Invoke Dogmatica. We've got Adamancipator versus Invoke Dogmatica. Infernoble Knights, more of that. Dark Magician. All sorts of cool stuff coming up. So stay tuned. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Winner Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And of course, a huge shout out goes to our Divine level channel members here on YouTube, keeping the channel going strong. Academic Thick, Travis Harris, and Zors. Thank you guys so much for your continued support.